Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is for Unit 8, Notes 5, talking about solving radical equations. Please remember that when you're talking about solving radical equations, you're talking about there being an equal sign somewhere in the function that you need to solve for a variable. So, just a couple things. What you want to do is isolate the square root. That's number one. 2, square both sides to get rid of the square root and solve for the variable. So the square root of x has only a positive solution. So it's got to be this. Square root and square cancel each other out. So it's only got the positive solution. So a square root can never equal a negative number. If that's the case, that's got to be your big tip-off that that doesn't work. All right, so take a look at what we're dealing with here. So for number one, you got square root of x minus 7 equals 0. So to solve this, you're going to look to get this, isolate the variable, get the square root by itself. So you got to add 7 to both sides. So you've got the square root of x equals 7. So then you've got to square both sides. I gotta stop. Okay, so back to what we're talking about here. We're talking about square root of x squared equals 7. So square both sides. So x is going to equal 49. So x is going to equal 49. Here for number 2, you know, this square root's already by itself, so I'm going to square both sides. But look what happens on the right when I square it. All right, so this just becomes x. This, I've got to square both the 2 and the square root of 3. So this becomes 2 squared, which is 4. Square root of 3 squared is 12, is 3. So when I multiply that together, x is going to equal 12. So here, for number 3, what I want to look at though is, see how I got that 3 right there? I've got to get rid of that 3. So all I do is divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to get the square root of x plus 4 equals 15. So now square. So squaring that's going to give me x plus 4 equals 225. Subtract 4, so x is going to equal 221. Thank you. There you go. Thank you very much. Number 4, divide by 8, divide by 8. So square root of x minus 3 equals 2. So square those two things. So you're going to get x minus 3 equals 4. Add 3 to both sides. X equals 7. Notice both times all I'm doing is dividing in. So number 5, here, a little bit of work to be done. What I want to do here is subtract 9. So I'm going to have square root of 2x minus 3 equals negative 4. Now, notice something. I've got a square root equaling a negative number. When this is the case, this means no solution. Okay, no solution. It equals a negative number. Anytime that happens, that's your tip-off. That's not going to work. So now number 6, though, if I add 2, square root of 3x plus 1 equals 8. So now if I square both sides, so that's going to be 3x plus 1 equals 64. Minus 1, 3x equals 63. Divide by 3. So x is going to equal 21. So that's kind of a step up here. For 7, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5. So I get square root of x plus 1 equals 1. 5 divided by 5 is 1. Square both sides. So x plus 1 equals 1. Subtract, subtract. X is going to end up equaling 0. Okay, make sure you write down all these steps, especially in your notes. That way you're not just writing down answers, and that way you're not looking at your notes going, how did you do that? Well, all I did was divide by 5, square both sides, subtract 1, there's my answer. So now for number 8, a couple things going on. Solve like you normally would. Subtract 5, so that's left with 3x minus 4 equals 23 minus 5 is going to be 18. So then you're going to divide by 3. Square root of x minus 4 then is going to equal 6. Now you got that square root by itself. Now you're going to square it back. So you're going to have x minus 4 equals 36. Add 4, just like you've done 100 other times in your life. X is going to equal 40. So sometimes you get what we call an extraneous solution. That means mathematically it looks like a solution, but when I put it back in there, it is not a solution. Now, please note, you've got to plug it back in to make sure that it's going to work. If you don't, and you put it as an answer, technically you're wrong. So let's take a look at what we're talking about here. So for number 9, this square root's by itself, so I square both sides. So I'm left with x plus 2 equals x squared. So now, subtract x, subtract 2, subtract x, subtract 2, get it all over to one side. So 0 equals x squared minus x minus 2. Now factor, draw your x, negative 2, negative 1, so that's got to be negative 2, positive 1. So that's going to be x plus 1, x minus 2. So equals 0 still, so x plus 1 equals 0, x minus 2 equals 0. So x equals 1, x equals negative 1, x equals 2. So now I've got to check to make sure both solutions work. All right, so let's check. So let's check 2. So 2 plus 2 equal, does the square root of 2 plus 2 equal 2? Well, that's the square root of 4. That equals 2. Yes, that works. Check negative 1. So if I take negative 1 plus 2, does that equal negative 1? So negative 1 plus 2 is 1. Square root of 1, does that equal negative 1? No, that doesn't work. So negative 1 is an extraneous solution, so that one doesn't work. 2 is the only one that works. So now looking at here for number 2, again, same kind of situation. Square it like you normally would. So you're going to get 4x minus 3 equals x squared. So take everything over. Subtract 4x minus 3. So you're going to have 0 is equal to x squared minus 4x minus 3. If you're starting to get good enough with factoring, you should be able to start picking these apart pretty well. So this becomes x minus 3. Oh, sorry, that should be a plus 3. So, sorry, that should become x minus 3, x minus 1 equals 0. So that means x minus 3 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0. So x either equals 3 or x equals 1. But you've got to test both of those. So if I put it back in here, I get 4 times 3 minus 3 square root equals 3 squared. Sorry, 3 squared. So this becomes 12 minus 3. This becomes 9. Does that equal, does that equal 3? Yes, it does. So 3 works. So 3 works. Let's try 1. 4 times 1 minus 3. Does that equal 1? Well, 4 times 1 is 4, minus 3, square root of 1 equals 1. So yeah, that works too. So both of those solutions work. All right, so the perimeter of a rectangle is 20. Its dimensions are 4 and square root of x minus 1. Find the value of x. So the perimeter is 20. Dimensions are 4 and square root of x minus 1. So 4 square root of x minus 1. So that's going to be square root of x minus 1 plus square root of x minus 1 plus 4 equals 20. So 2 to the square root of x minus 1 plus 8 equals 20. So then subtract 8, subtract 8. 2 square root of x minus 1 equals 12. So if I divide by 2, square root of x minus 1 equals 6, square, so x minus 1 equals 36, so I get x has to be 37. So now that's going to be your answer. So formula for the velocity of a moving object is v equals 2e over m, where e is the kinetic energy in joules, m is the mass in kilograms, and v is the velocity in meters per second. What is the kinetic energy, e, of an object that has moving 6 meters per second, has a mass of 9 grams? So what is the kinetic energy of an object? So you're looking for E, and the mass is 9 kilograms. So velocity is in meters per second. So it's like 6 equals square root of 2e, because that's what we're looking for, over 9. Well, think here a little bit. 2e can be split up into square root of 2e over square root of 9. So that becomes 6 equal to square root of 2e, and then over 3. So then to solve, multiply both sides by 3. So then if I square both of these, I'm going to get 18 squared. Eighteen squared is going to be 324 equals 2e. So divide by 2, divide by 2. So my final answer here is going to be 162. So that is my kinetic energy in joules. Okay, that is all I've got. Come talk to me with questions and get ready for your second half quiz.